This damn chair's gonna be the death of me before the migraines finish the job. Tastes like yesterday's regrets boiled in battery acid. Friday night, folks. North America wide, from the coasts to the flyover voids. Work week's corpse finally cold. Distractions thin out like bad reception. And bam, your brain's pattern recognition goes into overdrive. Those nagging holes in the story, they start whispering. That 2 a.m. certainty creeps in, the kind that makes you swear you finally cracked it all. Tonight on The Grind, from unexplained.co, we're drilling into information vacuums. Yeah, absence of data, it ain't proof of jack squat. But try telling that to the human wiring. Those gaps don't just sit there quiet. They pull, they drive beliefs, spark behaviors, fill with whatever fever dream fits. We'll track 3 vacuum generators pumping these voids full of shadows. First, classification. Governments and corps slap classified on it and watch it vanish into the ether. Second, decay. Time, physics, entropy gnawing records to dust. Third, technology failure. Wipes, glitches, black box malfunctions erasing the trail mid-stride. Feature story rips open the Secrecy ecosystem. Area 51 flight chatter logs colliding with that fresh Montauk declassified dump. Cold cases in standard reports, too. Documented missing persons where the info gaps tallied real human wreckage. Families shattered. Leads rotted. Secondary signals? Mimic voices fooling the ear. Screens warping mid-frame. Timing too goddamn impossible. Uncanny presences lurking in the static. Look, we're skeptical here. Not sneering assholes dismissing it all. We carve confirmed facts from the interpretation circus. That's the line. Your task tonight, night owls. Tune in for 2 motifs rhyming across the chaos. Mimicry and record loss. How they echo from skies to streets. Listen close. The missing parts are talking. Yeah, that absence we just poked at in the cold open? It's not passive, folks. It's the active ingredient in all this mess. You're tuned into The Grind on unexplained.co. This is Art Grindstone, your cranky guide through the Friday night fog. Same as every week, grinding it out while the bosses count their offshore cash. Over the past several days, call it this week if you want the shorthand, we've got a map laid out for the full hour. Not some panic sprint, nah. We're methodically tracing the structures here. First, these secrecy ecosystems. You know the type. One little observable drip, like a leaked memo or a glitchy feed, and boom, it blooms into massive interpretive jungles. Small inputs, outsized outputs, because nobody's handing out the full blueprint. Then there's evidence drift. Records wipe themselves clean. Files ghost into the ether. Images that flat out contradict what your lying eyes remember. It's like reality's got Alzheimer's, and we're left chasing shadows of shadows. And don't get me started on narrative markets. That's where attention whores, fear peddlers, and meaning makers rush in to plug the institutional black holes. Attention economy turns gaps into gold mines. Every wild take fighting for your scroll time. Hell, I'd sell mine if I could figure the algorithm. To keep it straight, I'll tag confidence levels all night. Confirmed means hard docs or footage I can point to. Reported is solid sources whispering it. Asserted is the speculation pile. Entertaining, but don't bet the farm. Feature kicks off next. What flight traces can't spill, and why declassified ain't the holy grail it pretends to be. Means approved for eyes, not truth serum. Then the standard reports. Ebersole's tangled web. Romine Olson's fade out. Aaron Taylor's puzzle pieces. The Teteringen Girl case. All with documentation trails. All with yawning unknowns. We'll dip into secondary signals too. Those personal anomaly reports. Not proof machines, mind you. Just pattern probes. Dots to connect if they line up. Stay sharp out there. The drift's real. right, you insomniacs still with me after that stiff intro? Good. Let's grind into feature part 1, the situation overview. Observable traces, expensive interpretations. That's the game this week. Minimal public crumbs turning into mountains of mythology. Certainty from thin air. I've been slinging this late-night swill for decades, and it never changes. It kicks off with something you can actually pin down. Public reporting. Real news outlets, not just some fever dream subreddit. About U.S. Air Force flights touching down at or near Area 51. Planes in the sky, wheels on the tarmac. Movement exists. That's observable. Verifiable if you squint at flight trackers or local spotter chatter. Purpose? Unknown. Could be routine test flights, gear transport, or the boss's lunch order for all we know. But hell, that's enough to ignite the fuse. Enter the narrative hook. This Montauk Project article bubbling up again positions itself as the what declassified files miss. Montauk, that wild tale of time travel, mind control, kidnapped kids in Long Island bunkers back in the 80s. Claims, baby. Juicy claims, not proof. Declassified docs from the government? They mention radar experiments, psych warfare tests, Phoenix Project stuff, but nothing about wormholes or alien tech. The article fills the gaps with inference. See this redacted page? That's where they hid the saucers. Don, put the damn magazine away. I can hear you waving that National Enquirer knockoff from here. We're mapping claims, not chasing shadows tonight. Let's clarify confirmed versus inferred, because that's where the scam lives. The landings might be corroborated by a handful of aviation nerds with ADS-B receivers or paparazzi pilots. Flight paths logged, timestamps match. Fine. But passengers? High-level meetings with shadowy figures? Payloads of exotic materials? That's not in the headline. Not confirmed. That's you. Yeah, you listening. Projecting the dots into a connect-the-dots masterpiece. Landings happen. The rest is fanfic. This is the Secrecy ecosystem, folks. A perfect storm. Start with classification. Everything stamped top secret. Eyes only. Then partial documents drip out. Declassified just enough to tease. Pop culture laps it up. Movies like Independence Day. Books by Bob Lazar wannabes. Online amplification? Echo chambers on X, TikTok, whatever. Algorithms feed you more of what you liked last night. And monetization? Substacks, Patreon tiers for insider drops. YouTube ads on Area 51 whistleblower reacts. Cha-ching. Attention is the new gold, and secrecy's the mint. Why late December? Timing's no accident. Attention slack. Everybody's stuffed with turkey, drowning in eggnog, scrolling half asleep. Year-end retrospectives from every podcaster. Top 10 conspiracies of 23. Algorithms love it too. Resurface old viral clips from 2019 Storm Area 51 idiocy. Perfect storm for revival. Key risk behavior here. Inference laundering. Treating unknown like known but hidden. Flight landed? Must be covering up ET bodies. No proof? That's the proof of the cover-up. Slippery slope to madness. I've yelled at my mirror doing it after too much cheap whiskey. Audience psychology? We all crave it. One coherent explanation beats a messy stack of maybes. Human brains wired for stories, not spreadsheets. Aliens at Area 51 sings. Bureaucratic logistics in Nevada desert snores. Episode's operating rule. We don't solve secrecy. No silver bullets tonight. We map claims to evidence. What's sourced, what's speculation, and to plausible mechanisms. Boring logistics versus blockbuster myths. Falsifiability posture, 'cause science matters, even on pirate radio. What raises confidence? Provenance. Docs with chain of custody, not leaked PDFs. Corroboration. Multiple independent sources, not circle jerk forums. Lowers it? Misattribution. That flight was a weather balloon. Contradictions. Whistleblower says X, but logs say Y. And my boss wants me to hype the aliens for ratings. Screw the system, we're doing it straight. Link forward. Next part, we'll contrast these cinematic secrecy myths with real-world missing person cases, where the unknown ain't extraterrestrial, it's human, mundane, messy, and way scarier. Planes land, people vanish, but for reasons that don't need tinfoil. Stick around. This grind's just warming up. God damn, this chair's got more miles on it than I do. Feels like it's chewing my spine tonight. Anyway, we peeled back the layers last time. Observable traces versus those bloated interpretations that cost a fortune in sanity. Now, let's dig into the dirt on why these Area 51 and Montauk yarns keep mutating like some lab rat gone rogue. Tastes like regret, this swill. Ugh. Take Area 51, Groom Lake, Nevada. That's no myth. Real deal classified aviation testing ground since the Cold War. U-2 spy planes, A-12 ox cart, F-117 stealth fighters, all born in that dust bowl. Restricted airspace, razor wire, motion sensors, armed patrols telling you to fuck right off. And the government's explanation? Crickets. Or national security, move along. Minimal public word, zero tours. Boom. Instant template for every saucer story. You can't disprove what's locked behind a veil thicker than my ex-wife's denial. Montauk's the Fever Dream remix. Out east on Long Island, Camp Hero. Starts with radar towers and submarine spotting in World War II. Morphs into alleged mind control hellhole. The Montauk chair. Some electrified throne frying brains for psychic spies. Portals ripping open to other dimensions. Time travel jaunts. Non-human visitors. Big eyes. Bad attitudes. The works. Asserted by the usual parade of claimants. But no photos. No receipts. Yet it sticks. Why? Historical precedent, folks. Cold War was a freak show factory. MK Ultra dosing college kids with LSD for brainwashing. Project Paperclip snatching Nazi scientists. Philadelphia experiment. Navy ship allegedly vanishing in green fog. Real programs, black budgets, ethical black holes. Creates that baseline hum. Something happened here. Extraordinary add-ons? Harder to flush when the ordinary was already twisted. Enter derivative plausibility. True secrecy breeds monsters next door. Area 51 hides jets? Why not ET craft? Montauk tests psychics. Portals feel like the logical next step. Proximity poisons skepticism. One verified lockbox makes the whole shelf dubious. Then there's document theater. FOIA releases. Declassified scraps. Pages of solid black redactions. Cryptic fragments. Perfect props. Look, they hid the good stuff. Outruns the content every time. A blurry memo becomes Bible for the faithful. Witness cycle dynamics? Same names echoing across decades. Preston Nichols, Al Bielek, Duncan Cameron. Continuity for believers, contamination for cynics like me. Did they compare notes at UFO cons? Or is it a daisy chain of, I heard from a guy who knew a guy? Repeated roster builds lore, but smells like echo chamber. Pop culture feedback loop seals it. Media motifs flood the brain. Glowing portals from The X-Files. Kid experiments in Stranger Things. Alien autopsies on late-night TV. Witnesses remember in that language. Intentional borrow or subconscious script. Doesn't matter. Testimony mutates to match the hits. But here's your concrete skepticism cue, night owls. Technical specificity? Often just decorative chrome. Radar frequencies, alloy compositions. Sounds impressive till you ask for identifiers. Chain of custody, independent corroboration. No serial numbers on that magic chair, no blueprints with DOD stamps, vaporware. Institutions, classification policies choke disclosure. Decades, sometimes forever. Silence ain't admission, it's bureaucracy on autopilot. They didn't burn the Death Star plans, they just stamped top secret and filed it under not your business. So we've got the factory blueprint, real bones fleshed with fantasy, ambiguity as rocket fuel. Next up, we treat these narratives like strategic objects. How the fog warps attention, breeds distrust, leaves us wide open for manipulation, whether the saucers are real or not. Stay tuned, don't touch that dial. Yeah, so last time we chewed through how these templates form up, and the feedback loops that keep them spinning like a bad carnival ride. Now let's get to the meat of it. Part 3, the implications. Ambiguity as a force multiplier. And yeah, I know, sounds like some Pentagon buzzword bingo, but stick with me, because this crap is why we're all losing our minds out there. First off, attention arbitrage. You got these small, ambiguous signals, a blurry flight path, some wiped server logs, and bam, they suck up more analysis time and emotional bandwidth than a Super Bowl halftime show. It's like one grainy photo of a weird triangle in the sky, and suddenly every keyboard warrior's burning midnight oil dissecting it. Meanwhile, real shit like your property taxes going up slides right by. Who's winning? Not us. Governance impact? Forget policy debates. These secrecy narratives turn into proxies for trust, or the lack of it, in institutions altogether. Do they tell the truth? Hell, when everything's shrouded, folks start thinking the whole system's a lie. One dodged question from some Fed suit, and poof, trust fractures wider than my patience with this job. My boss? He'd sell his grandma for a rating bump. Behavioral fallout? Uncertainty shoves people straight into fatalism, paranoia, or chasing costly solutions that don't even fit the problem. Stock up on tinfoil hats, buy that overpriced scanner, or just tune out and doom scroll. It's a hamster wheel, folks. Keeps you spinning, never getting anywhere. And info ops? Prime vulnerability. Adversaries, grifters, they don't gotta invent new conspiracies. Just hop on existing templates. Ride the wave of government cover-up or entities among us. Cheap, effective, and deniable. Why build a new bike when you can steal Uncle Sam's? Now, the complexity shield. The more extraordinary the claim, portals ripping open, interdimensional entities strolling Ohio fields, the harder it is to falsify cleanly. You can't just debunk that with a weather balloon. Needs layers of data, experts, time. Meanwhile, the story metastasizes. Tie-in technology drift, evidence that won't hold still. Missing footage, wiped drives. It's gasoline on the ambiguity fire. One day it's there, next it's ghosted. Perfect for the fog machine. But hold up, concrete counterpoint. Those flights? Could be logistics, training runs, test range support. Mundane as my coffee breath. Extraordinary inferences demand extraordinary sourcing. Don't jump. Verification lanes, that's your lifeline. Independent tracking, ADS-B data, flight logs from multiple feeds, document provenance checks. Where'd that screenshot come from, really? Expert plausibility review. Does this align with physics, ops tempo, known tech? Grind it down methodically. Harm lane? This ain't harmless fun. Rumors bleed into real cases. Misdirect tips to cops. Harass families thinking they know something. Freeze investigations in noise. One viral thread and resources evaporate chasing shadows. Damn studio electrics. Anyway, that's the multiplier effect. Ambiguity amplifies everything. Good, bad, ugly. Next up, part 4. We'll inventory the red flags, contradictions, unknowns. How to keep your inference disciplined. Avoid overfitting to the hype. Because if we're gonna grind this out, might as well do it right. Stay tuned. So yeah, picking up from where we left off, that whole ambiguity angle. Doesn't matter if the secret's real or just a fever dream. It still screws with everything. Policies get twisted, suckers line up, and the system's laughing all the way to the bank. But screw that noise. Tonight, we're handing out your practical toolkit. Red flags to spot narrative scaffolding. You know, the house of cards built on trust me and endless repeats. How unverifiable claims turn into gospel. I've chased enough ghosts to know this by heart, and regretted most of it. First red flag, and it burns me every time. Declassified documents, they shout. But probe a little. What's the doc number? FOIA release date. Redaction history, like when those black bars got lighter over appeals. Crickets. It's bullshit vaporware, like your bookie swearing the fix is in without odds or a slip. Demand the meat, or it's just smoke for the echo chamber. Next up, claims coffin evidence only in private. Some DM screenshot that expires. Insider whispers with no artifacts for you to verify solo. If it melts under independent eyes, it was never evidence. More like a wet dream. Hell, Don tried showing me some blurry UFO rig on his phone last week. Yeah, thanks, producer. Survives a Google reverse image? Then talk. Witness names dropped like bad habits? 10 guys saw the black chopper. Treat 'em as leads, not lockdown proof. Hunt Bob down, get his signed story, match timelines with weather logs or traffic cams. Repetition's a drug, feels solid, proves jack. I've name-dropped my own barstool theories too often, learned the hard way. Track this contradiction hard. Ultra-detailed yarns, the acrid burn of chemtrails on your tongue, the exact shade of the Grey's jumpsuits, slammed next to 0 checkable anchors. No dates, places, manifests, nothing public to grab. It's porn for the brain, 0 skeleton. Stories without hooks, fan fiction for adults. Anchor or anchor out. Evidence hygiene rule, and this one's gold. Write it down. Split your notes into observable, interpreted, asserted. Observable, phone wiped post-disappearance. Interpreted, remote gov signal. Asserted, Men in Black did it for the kid. Argue from the first bucket, question the rest. Keeps you sharp, not suckered. Conversation too, call it out. That's your take, but here's what I saw. And alternatives? Plenty. Classification policy's a bottomless pit. Sucks facts in, spits rumors. Mundane ops, night training flights, radar glitches, looking spooky as hell. Narrative borrowing. One wild tale hits Reddit. Suddenly everyone's cousin saw the same. Mystery manufactured. No extraordinary bullshit required. The man upstairs, my boss, or theirs, loves it. Keeps us ranting at shadows while they pick our pockets. Build falsifiability like a habit. Before you hammer your conclusion, scribble. What flips me? NTSB crash report showing a Piper Cub. Witness on video recanting. Then argue honest. I've skipped that. Sounded like a fool on air. Won't again. Don, Jesus, those damn chips echoing like a quarry? Or is that your burnout weed haze drifting over here? Crack a window before I hack up a lung, man. We're trying to grind truth here, not snack. Anyway, we'll run this exact checklist on missing person phone wipes. Clean as a whistle, right? And your personal glitch reports. Timelines jumping like bad edits. Same drill. Institutional note: silence ain't confession, it's procedure. Gag orders, ongoing probes, lawyer lockdown. Don't trade evidentiary holes for your gut certainty. Emotional high don't fill files. I've raged at empty air enough decades behind this mic. Enough secret place, what ifs. Time to hit documented cases, gaps with bodies, families screaming, timelines etched in reports. Starting clean, that Area 51 flight trace, public scraps we can actually chew on. What sticks after the spin. Man, this chair's creaking like my back after 20 years behind this damn mic. And don't get me started on this nicotine gum. Flavor's gone faster than my faith in the system. Anyway, sliding right off that red flag checklist we just unpacked in the feature, let's grind this Area 51 flight buzz through the same grinder. High confidence inference limits, folks. What public traces hold up, and where they snap like cheap tinfoil. So, what happened? Reports claim U.S. Air Force flights, yeah, actual military birds, have been landing at Area 51, touching down at Groom Lake, that black hole in the Nevada desert, prompting the usual speculation circus. VIPs, secrets, little green men hauling luggage. Published December 27th, blowing up in discussions this week. Coast-to-coast.com style. You know the drill. Confirmed versus claimed. That's the meat. Landings? Presented as fact from traceable aviation data. Flight trackers light up with Air Force call signs. Paths vectored straight to the restricted zone. Public stuff. ADS-B hits. Mode S squawks. That's solid-ish. But motives? Passenger IDs? Not disclosed. Not confirmed. Zilch. No manifests leaking out. No whistleblowers with selfies. And the real hook. Important people boarding? Implied heavy in the headlines. But the summary? No supporting docs. Just narrative bait to reel you in. Because why let facts ruin a good panic? Credible alternatives. Let's not kid ourselves. Logistics runs. Hauling supplies for Nellis test range ops. Training rotations. Cycling pilots through black programs. Test range support flights. Timing with live fire windows. Or routine classified movements. Janet flights on steroids, but mundane. Nothing here screams world-shaking revelation. Why it matters? Demonstrates the trap perfectly. Minimal data, a handful of traces, explodes into maximal narrative when the location's myth weight is Area 51. Roswell vibes, Bob Lazar echoes. Thin gruel becomes feast for the imagination. That's why we need discipline. Parse the signal from the noise. What to watch next? Independent flight tracking corroboration. Tail numbers matching known Air Force fleets. Call signs consistent. Cross-check against NOTAMs. Test range activity windows at Nellis. If it aligns with scheduled ops, poof, speculation deflates. This sets the evidence standard we're hauling to the other stories tonight. No balloons, just facts. Keeps me sane, barely. Yeah, that Area 51 rundown earlier. You know, hammering home what we can actually infer from public scraps without chasing shadows. Same damn principle applies to this next bit out of unexplained.co. They dropped a no-nonsense critique on December 27th, part of this week's output, fittingly timed for us night owls grinding through the holidays. Headlines basically, Younger Dryas Impact, what a serious critique actually looks like. About time somebody modeled disciplined skepticism instead of the usual hot air circus. So, quick recap for the bleary-eyed. The Younger Dryas Impact hypothesis, pushed hard by folks like Randall Carlson and the catastrophist crowd, claims a comet or asteroid fragments walloped North America around 12,800 years ago. Boom! Air bursts, megafloods from melting ice sheets, end of the Clovis people, mammoths dropping like flies, maybe even resetting some lost golden age. Cataclysmic framing, right? Sounds like a blockbuster script, but unexplained.co ain't buying the hype wholesale. They dissect it proper. What claims demand ironclad proof, what evidence legitimately counts, and how you frame falsification without turning it into a cage match. What's confirmed? The hypothesis exists. It's debated in journals. Platinum spikes and nanodiamonds show up in sediments worldwide at that time frame. And now we've got this published critique laying it out. What's claimed and shaky? Those specific mechanisms. The air burst over the ice sheet causing exactly the right meltwater pulse to shut down the Atlantic conveyor. Or interpretive leaps like, this explains everything from extinctions to ancient myths. Nah, evidence layers got limits. They hint at something cosmic maybe, but can't uniquely finger the full narrative. Credible alternatives? Plenty. Abrupt ocean circulation flips from freshwater influx. No impact needed. Complex multi-factor cocktails. Volcanism, solar wobbles, biosphere feedbacks piling on. Or hell, impacts occurred but without the doomsday add-ons. Evidence supports extraterrestrial markers without proving the apocalypse script. See? That's skepticism done right. Not posing as the lone genius with vibes, but argument plus sources plus hard constraints. Why bother in this grind? Shows a healthier pattern than the declassified lore echo chambers flooding YouTube. Real inquiry. Here's the data. Here's the gaps. Test it or toss it. Ties right back to our Area 51 limits. Stick to traces. Question leaps. What to watch next? Does the piece drill into specific data sets? Black mats, Usingite crystals, Younger Dryas boundary markers, and the broader lit. Replications holding up or counter-studies mounting. Science ain't static. It'll grind this out. Speaking of grinding, keep ears peeled for the next one on that Sara Ebersole vanishing. Timeline's a mess, but we'll parse the confirmed contacts. Yeah, that Younger Dryas stuff. Disciplined skepticism, right? Model for what we're doing next. No wild leaps, just the bones of the case. Sara Ebersole, 26 years old, disappears after hitting a Circle K. That's confirmed, folks. Then she's pinged at or near a couple residences. Multiple people involved. But hold your horses. We're talking March 2nd, bleeding into the 3rd, 2023. Last solid night anyone can pin her down. And get this, it's bubbling up again this week, like the system's finally stirring its lazy ass. Now, let's slice confirmed from the bullshit claims. Rock solid, timestamps on her phone, messages fired off. Key 1 at 10:11 p.m. She's texting about hopping into a random truck with some cowboys. Cowboys. In the middle of nowhere, New Mexico, sure, why not? Sounds like a bad country song. Last seen location? Locked in. After that, reported accounts. Who's saying what happened at those houses? Who saw her with who? Later stories from lips that might have loosened with time or booze. not ironclad. Don, is that you bawling over another collection call? Jesus, man. Is that the bank again? Pull it together. We're on air. Anyway, voluntary dip out? Possible in the abstract, I guess. Girl ghosts herself. Starts fresh. But weakened hard. No credit card swipes. No digital footprints. No social media whispers since. Nada. These missing person gigs? Rumor magnets. One loose thread and boom. Cults, cartels, lizard people. Establish the timeline first. Keep the mythology from running wild over the evidence. That's why it matters. Eyes peeled for what's next. Investigators dropping CCTV clips, verified truck plates, someone else backing up those departures. That'd anchor it. Or not. System's got a way of dragging feet till the trail's colder than my coffee. This sets the table for Part B, that phone wipe window. POI behaviors clashing like drunk brawlers, and how contradictions turn a straight investigation into a goddamn pretzel. Stay sharp out there. All right, folks. With that timeline from Sara Part A nailed down, March 2nd into 3rd, 2023, let's zero in on the real meat grinder here. The phones. The digital ghosts that don't quite vanish. Sara Ebersole's device? Reports say it hummed along, active right up until about 2:40 a.m. Then, nothing. Reset. Wiped clean. Like someone hit the big red button and said, start over. Cozy, right? Cut to the person of interest. This POI they won't name outright yet. His phone data pings him at the same damn convenience store as Sara that very night. Proximity alert. Not proof, but it's the kind of overlap that keeps you up at night, staring at the ceiling fan. This guy's story bubbles up publicly in 2024, and here we sit, weeks later, still unresolved. No closure, just the grind. What's confirmed? Warrants. They slapped him with a charge for providing false information. Court docs don't lie. Well, not usually. But the claim stuff? A mess of contradictions. Who met Sara? When exactly? POI says one thing, records hint another. It's like trying to map a blackout with a broken compass. Here's the kicker, Don. Yeah, you in the booth. POI swears his phone was busted, chucked in a dumpster somewhere, gone forever. Then boom, warrant served, and suddenly a phone materializes. Turned over, nice and neat. What happened to the trash heap tale? Oops. Don, the levels, you idiot. What the hell? We're not broadcasting a chainsaw symphony here. Fix it before I come back there and shove that board up your... Yeah, anyway, look, inconsistencies like this, they scream information vacuum. Could be straight panic, guy's freaked, blurts nonsense, or unrelated legal heat making him clam up. Miscommunication in the chaos. Hell, ping data shows he was nearby, sure, but proximity ain't guilt. It's just there, hanging like smoke. Why does this matter in this endless late-night slog? Phone resets, wipes, contradictory accounts. These are the inflection points. Cases either crystallize here, facts locking in, or they decay, dissolve into noise, speculation, endless what-ifs. We've seen it 100 times. Records that don't hold still, shifting under your fingers. Eyes on this. Authorities gonna clarify the wipe? Hardware factory reset or some account-level data purge. CCTV from that store. Does it exist or poof, another vacuum? And that 3 to 5 a.m. departure window. Verify Sara's exit or let it fester. Ties right back to tonight's motif. Evidence that squirms. Timelines that bend. Unreliable as my ex's promises. Stay tuned. God, this nicotine gum's lost all its kick. Tastes like chewing on cardboard now. Alright, enough of that. Coming off Sarah's gadget, ghosts, and all those contradiction headaches, let's talk about a different kind of black hole in the info world. Not some shadowy government lockdown, but good old physics screwing the forensics. Case in point, Alyssa Romine Olson, June 2016, Gilbert, Arizona. Young woman, found floating face down in a pond at the Riparian Preserve. Dead as yesterday's news. Cops pull her out, medical examiner pokes around, and bam! Cause of death? Undetermined. Yeah, you heard that right. Not accident, not suicide, not homicide, just undetermined. Like the universe flipped a coin and it landed on edge. Now, what we know for sure, body discovered in that murky water. Summer heat baking Arizona like a skillet. Time ticks by before anyone spots her. Environmental cocktail of water, heat, decomposition. It chews up evidence like a bad hangover erases your night. Abrasions on the body, sure, but good luck saying if they came from a struggle, a slip, or just the pond bottom scraping her around. They even did a rape kit. Results? Only her DNA. No intruder cocktail there. Family's not buying the shrug, though. They're pointing fingers, harassment claims, sketchy suspects in her orbit, theories flying like cheap shots at a bar fight. But here's the rub. All confirmed is the discovery scene and that big fat undetermined from the ME. The rest? Claims, hunches, whispers, no smoking gun, no fresh prints. Cold coffee, worse than warm beer. Anyway, credible paths forward? Could be accident, wrong step, into the drink. Suicide? Possible, life's a grind. Homicide? Hey, abrasions don't lie, but they don't confess either. With the evidence degraded to mush, all three stay on the table. No slam dunk. Why drag this up now? It resurfaced in chats this week, reminding us how undetermined ain't closure. It's a slow burn itch. Fuels family feuds, online rabbit holes, distrust in the badge. Contrasts those secrecy myths we love to hate. This silence might just be physics, not policy. Water wins, evidence loses. Keep an eye on it. Any fresh forensics push, new docs dumped, or status update could crack it open, or not. Like most things, stays murky. Yeah, that Alyssa case. Physical limits just erase everything. No body, no fight. But Aaron Taylor, we've got the crime right there in public. On Christmas Day, 2007, outside a Subway in Phoenix. Homeless guy, minding his own, gets doused and lit up like a Yule log. Burned to death. Merry Christmas, assholes. Reports, confirmed ones, say emergency crews rushed in, put out the fire. Body there, charred, dead. No doubt about the murder. But here's the kicker. Leading up to it, folks saw a pack of young punks harassing him for days, duct taping the poor bastard to poles, flicking lit matches at his clothes, laughing their asses off. Specific names floated around. Locals knew who they were. Those claims? Eyewitness stuff, street talk. Not rock solid in court, but the vibe was there. Then the fire hits. Cops hose it down to kill the flames. Great. Now evidence? Fried. Any prints, fluids, traces? Washed away or burned off. Perfect storm for screwing the case. Suspects get nabbed, but boom, attorneys swoop in. Mouths shut tighter than a nun's knees. No cooperation, no statements. Community whispers the names, knows the faces, but admissible? Nada. It's like the info's right there, banging on the door, and the system's got a no solicitors sign up. Parallels those classified files we rag on. Knowledge exists, but access, blocked by red tape and fear. Why does this grind my gears? Shows the vacuum in the machine. Obvious crime, public killing, and it stalls out. No prosecutable proof. Identity's fuzzy in the record. Murder's not in doubt. Harm happened. Guy's gone. But justice? Stalled for decades. This week's Buzz revisited it. Maybe modern forensics on old samples, renewed witness pokes, or some guilty conscience spilling. Watch for that. Could crack it open. Kinda primes you for the next report. Teteringen Girl, where even knowing who she is, that's the goddamn prerequisite. Yeah, that Aaron Taylor bit. Legal walls slamming down, turning questions into black holes. But flip it. Sometimes the system's got a tool that actually works. Take the Teteringen Girl. Discovered December 24th, 1990. Christmas Eve, no less. In a field near Teteringen, Netherlands. Young woman, maybe early 20s. Unidentified to this day. Restraints on her wrists. Body showing months of abuse and starvation. Straight up murder, no question. This one's folded into Interpol's Operation Identify Me. You know, that international push to name the nameless. Kicked off hard in May 2023 with facial reconstructions, age-progressed sketches, DNA profiles dumped into global databases. And it's bubbling up again this week. Fresh appeals going out. Confirmed facts? Body found frozen in the snow. Autopsy details solid. Identification campaign rolling full steam. The claims? She's trafficked from Eastern Europe. Illegal immigrants stashed away. Maybe even ritual stuff. Wild guesses floating around. Hell, they showed her picture to relatives in Antwerp, Belgium. Folks who might have known missing girls from the area. Nada. No recognition. Don, put that conspiracy rag away. I see you waving it like it's gospel. Ain't helping. Look, origin's still wide open. Life history? Blank slate. Hypotheses crash and burn all the time. Even when the death screams criminal. Doesn't change the core. Here's why this grinds my gears in a good way. Identification ain't just a name on a file. It's the key. Crack that. You unlock family trees, travel records, associates who saw something. Whole case reframes, from ghost story to solvable puzzle. Contrast those secrecy ecosystems we chew on. This is institutions grinding gaps shut. DNA comparisons stacking up. Genetic genealogy hunts lighting up cousins worldwide. Public tips pouring in. What to watch. Operation Identify Me updates. They're cross-checking GED match hits, rolling out new reconstructions. If she gets a name, boom, networks crack wide. Stay tuned, 'cause unlike the barriers, this might actually move the needle. Tired of the dark? Sometimes the light fights back. Hell, after chasing shadows with that Teteringen Girl, pinning down identities to close the gaps, sometimes the whole system's just quiet, dead air, no signals from on high. That's when you don't lose your shit. You build your own small certainties, plans, checklists, Stuff that's yours to control, not waiting for some faceless authority to spoon-feed you answers. Yeah, and look, I gotta slide this in here. Prep starts now. Family-focused preparedness brand. Zero doom porn. It's confidence over fear. Resilience for the family unit when the lights flicker, or worse. Simple guides, straightforward training. Curated basics like first aid, power solutions, water kits. The practical shit that turns anxiety into a plan, not a buy-in spree. They make it dead easy. Exclusive for you night owls. 15% off anything with code THEGRIND. Hit prepstartsnow.com/discount/thegrind. Full disclosure, I earn a commission if you use the code or link. Keeps this cranky old mic hot. But speaking of signals that feel too familiar, yeah, that sponsor reset got us thinking. Resilience. But what about the glitches no prep kit patches? Let's grind into this one. Posted online this week, but roots go back 10 years. Headline: Secondary signal, the mimic call. Familiar voice, wrong damn source. Guy's at home with his wife, right there, flesh and blood, maybe making dinner or whatever normal couples do. Phone rings. He picks up. It's her voice. Exact match. That quirky accent from her hometown. The little phrases only she drops. Hey, hun, you home yet? Perfect mimicry. Wife staring at him like he grew a second head. He stammers, hangs up. Immediate callback. Same number on the ID. Voice again, but frustrated now. Why'd you hang up on me? Snapped like she does when he's late for something. Guy loses it. Yanks the cord or blocks it. Calls stop. Forever. No more. What's confirmed? The guy's account. Time-stamped post. Details consistent. Claimed? Couldn't be wrong number or dumb prank. Same number ringing back? That's no coincidence. Plausible plays. Caller ID spoofing was doable back then. Tech geeks had it. Human mimic? Some voice actor pro pulling a grudge job. Or early voice synth. Clunky, but labs were cooking prototypes. Not impossible. Why drag this up now? Voice IDs going the way of passwords. Obsolete. AI deepfakes make "it's me, wire the cash" a security nightmare. These old yarns suddenly read like social engineering blueprints, testing the waters before the big hook. Eyes open for artifacts. Any saved voicemail? Carrier logs, and patterns in these reports. Timing, targets, clusters, that'd be the tell. Studio's humming like it's alive tonight. Makes you wonder what's mimicking what. Stay sharp out there. Yeah, that mimic voice still crawling under my skin. Perfect familiarity from nowhere. But let's grind on. Another secondary signal slithered in this week. Calls itself the screenshot disagreed. Visual glitch versus perceptual event. Viewer drops this bomb from the night of December 27th, bleeding into the 28th. Watching some movie, minding his own business, when bam, a scene flips grotesque. Faces warping, colors bleeding like a bad acid trip. Straight nightmare fuel. hits pause, and the image heals. Snaps right back to vanilla normal while frozen. Grabs a screenshot, crystal clean frame, no trace. Don, what the hell, man? Crunching like a goddamn beaver over there. I can smell the weed and barbecue from the booth. Save it for the break, huh? Now, confirmed facts. Timestamp locked. Screenshot archived. MD5 hash verified. File integrity solid. No tampering. Claimed, visual anomaly persisted and shifted even on pause. Eyes don't lie. Or do they? Discrepancy's the dagger here. Live screen perception versus static capture. Dude even polled GPU temps. Ruled out thermal throttling artifacts messing with renders. Analytical angle. Could be transient decode hiccup in the video pipeline. Rogue software overlay ghosting frames. Wonky driver handling HDR tone mapping. Or, yawn, hypnagogic hallucination kicking in near sleep onset. Late night movie, bleary eyes, plausible deniability. But here's the grind. Modern glitches, they ghost your retinas, but capture tools log the sanitized pipeline output. Testimony duking it out with tech receipts every time. No reproducibility, no dice. What to watch? Replication runs with full screen recording. Alt players like MPC-HC or VLC. System logs dumping driver states at exact timestamp. If it replicates across rigs, then the Matrix burped, folks, and we're all just screenshots waiting to disagree. Alright, coming off that glitch talk where nothing lines up and you can't reproduce squat, let's chew on another one of these secondary signals that gets everyone riled up. This week's gym. Some gym rat spots an old man in the parking lot. You know, same day post, fresh as yesterday's regrets. Guy's there fiddling with his car or whatever, wearing this unmistakable getup, baggy sweats, that ratty jacket. Witness clocks him, heads inside for a workout. But hold on, not even 10 minutes later, boom. Same old dude pushes a cart into the grocery store not a quarter mile away. Same clothes, same shuffle, same everything. Now the confirmed part? Yeah, the witness swears up and down on the sequence. Saw him at the gym lot, then bam at the store. That's his story, take it or leave it. The claim, though, that's where it gets spicy. Normal travel time between those spots? Should have been impossible. We're talking peak traffic hours, short distance but all the lights and turns. No way he beats the witness unless he's got a teleporter in his Depends. Identity heuristic screaming match. Clothes, age, build, timing compression paradox, baby. How's that even play? But come on, credible alternatives stack up quick. Could be twinsies. Two geezers who shop at the same Old Navy. Or maybe Grandpa parked out back, snuck in a side door at the gym nobody noticed. Misjudged the clock? 5 minutes feels like 30 when you're sweating on the treadmill. Hell, routine attention glitch. You see what you want to see under stress. Not saying it's nothing, but it's low evidence salad dressed up as high weird. Why do these duplicate old man yarns spread like bad chili? Simple, personal, sticks in your craw. Hard to disprove without diving into store CCTV timestamps, receipt logs, or that witness's phone location history. If they can grab that, gold. Otherwise, it's just another ghost in the machine of memory. Watch for those verification crumbs next time one pops up. Speaking of things that haunt groups, Yeah, building off those duplicate sightings we just picked apart. All that timing, guesswork, and fuzzy identity crap. Now here's another secondary signal rolling in. Camp encounter. Religious summer gig back when these witnesses were early teens. Posted fresh this week, like someone's memory finally bubbled up. Group of kids out chasing what they swear was a figure slipping through the trees at night. Then, bam, a dark face peers out from behind these skinny-ass saplings. Trees so thin you couldn't hide a goddamn squirrel without it sticking out. And get this, it peeks again, from a different tree. Then another. Movement all wrong. Jerky. Inhuman-like. They freak. Haul ass back to the cabins. Narrator? Can't utter a word for a solid 15 minutes indoors. Throat locked. Pure terror shut down. Multi-person story. All lining up consistent over the years. That's the hook. Add some weight, right? But, come on, groups? Prime for contamination. One kid whispers demon face, next one seeing horns. Shared retellings shape the narrative. Memory distortion on steroids. Religious camp? Already primed for hellspawn vibes. What's solid? The consistent recap. What's claimed? Some entity pulling physically impossible concealment behind twigs. Bullshit physics. Real talk alternatives. Human prankster. Nimble kid playing peekaboo. Animal rustling branches. Low-light pareidolia. Brain gluing shadows into faces. Years later recall. Fuzzed by time. Amplified by group hype. And that voice fail? Textbook physiological panic. Fight or flight clamps the larynx. Amygdala screaming override. Why bother? Multi-witness bolsters cred, but cranks the risk of collective bullshit building. Group corroboration versus group fever dream. Eyes on. Exact camp layout. Tree spacing. Night lighting conditions. Distances matter. Any solo reports from that spot? Untainted by the pack? Dig that while we pivot. That camp mess last segment. All about how fear physiology turns a group into a panic parade. Bodies betraying us under stress. Speaking of which, let's grind into this secondary signal from the retail trenches. Headlines got that perfect late-night hook. Haunted shift or electrical event. Dizziness after the joke. Retail worker. One of those graveyard shift survivors slinging cheap socks. Cracks wise about the store ghost. You know the drill. Every big box dungeon's got its spectral mascot. Anyway, he strolls into the back room. Lights start flickering like a bad horror flick. Then bam, dizziness slams him. Eye twitching, world spinning for 5 to 10 seconds. He bolts out, shakes it off, feels peachy. Happened just a day ago, posted fresh this week. Here's the breakdown, no BS. Confirmed facts. Flickering lights. Acute symptoms gone quick once he split the room. Building's a known headache mill. Frequent issues, they say. Wink, wink. Code for cheap landlords skimping on upkeep. Don, is that the goddamn bank again? Mute the thing before they repo your chair, huh? The claimed bit? Paranormal payback for the ghost joke. Spirits with a sense of humor. Or grudge, sure. But let's get analytical, because I'm not here to mock the guy. Plenty of meat world culprits. Vasovagal syncope, that blood pressure dip from nerves or standing too fast. Dehydration in that sweat lodge stockroom. Anxiety spike post-joke. Adrenaline crash. Classic fluorescent flicker screwing with your optic nerves, triggering vertigo. Electrical fault humming low-frequency vibes. Or whiff of cleaning chemicals, ammonia burn on the eyes and balance. Why chase this? Haunted workplace yarns plaster over real rot. Faulty wiring, poor ventilation. Fix the mundane crap. Fear evaporates. Safety spikes. No more dizzy quits or comp claims. What to watch. Track if it recurs in that room. Log maintenance calls. Correlate flickers to HVAC startups or dodgy circuits. If it's ghosts, well, they'll adapt. But odds favor the outlet before the outlet spirit. Tired truth. Our meat sacks glitch easy. Don't haunt yourself before checking the breakers. Alright, shaking off that retail dizziness crap, where ghosts turn out to be bad lighting and low oxygen. Let's crawl into something a little more personal. Kids and their imaginary friends. You know the drill. This one's fresh, posted just this week, digging back to early childhood days. Narrator says their younger sibling had this buddy named Denny. Kids yapping to him, playing games, drawing pictures. Classic imaginary pal stuff. Harmless, right? Then Grandma drops the bomb. She tells the family about a dream she had, starring her brother Denny, who croaked about a month before the kid's friend showed up. Dead Uncle Denny, haunting the dreamscape. Coincidence? Or kid channeling the afterlife? Don, the levels, you idiot! Fix it before I come over there! Jesus. Anyway, here's the kicker. The kid starts asking to visit Christy. Guess what Grandma's name is? Yeah, Christy. Spot on. And right after, kid forgets Denny ever existed. Poof. What's confirmed? The family story, as they all remember it now. What's claimed? That it wasn't imagination. It was the ghost uncle dropping by for playtime. But let's get real, night owls. Credible alternatives? Kid overheard the name in some hushed family chat. Funerals aren't kid-friendly topics, so secrecy reigns. Pure coincidence on a common name. Or retrospective patterning. Brains love connecting dots after the fact. Memory smoothing over years, turning vague chats into spooky synchronicities. Why does this matter? Family secrecy casts these long shadows. Normal info gets buried and bam, later coincidences feel straight up paranormal. No one talked about dead Denny around the kids, so when the name pops up, spooky. What to watch? Hunt for contemporaneous proof. Texts about the death date. Who knew the name and when? Any photos or docs floating around the house? Was Denny in the air? Or truly a bolt from the blue? Makes you wonder, how many ghosts are just bad communication in disguise? Hang tight. Talk about brains leaking patterns into everything. From imaginary friends cashing in on coincidences to this misty photo nonsense straight out of Indianapolis. Some travel nurse on assignment there this week posts pics from a spot linked to H.H. Holmes, that old school slaughterhouse maniac. Says she watches a white mist swirl up out of nowhere, grabs her phone, snaps away. Later enhances them and whoa, there's Holmes with his mustache and top hat, and some boy figure right beside him, staring back like they own the joint. Confirmed? Yeah, she took the shots, shared them online, interpreted the blobs as specific spooks. Claimed? That's the mist being actual ghosts of Holmes and the kid he may be offed or whatever the lore says. But hold up, prime suspect here is place priming. She knew the crime history cold before the mist even puffed up. Brains like a damn bloodhound, sniffing for Holmes in every shadow and smudge. Shapes what you see before you even click shutter. Credible alternatives stack up quick. Lens flare catching streetlights wrong. Breath fogging the lens on a chilly night. Low light motion blur turning air into ghosts. Fog or steam vents nearby nobody noticed. Compression artifacts from sharing the file online. Or straight up pareidolia. That hardwired, I see a face certainty kicking in. We love facing faces, even in toast crumbs. Why's it matter? These evidence-looking images hit like a gut punch. Visually persuasive as hell, locking identity narratives tight before reason kicks the door down. Pixels tease a story they can't back up. Non-diagnostic junk dressed as proof. What to watch? Demand raw originals and metadata. Line up sequential frames for changes. Check weather logs for temp drops or humidity spikes. Hunt local vapor sources like manholes or AC units. Might just be cold coffee breath after all. Moving on. Speaking of pareidolia, priming us to see ghosts in the mist, like that last segment, got a real knee slapper for you. Leaf pattern anomaly. Some poor bastard out walking, June 13, 2023, glances behind a park bench and bam! Leaves arranged in this crisp, geometric pattern. Looks deliberate, like nature's doodling a secret code or an alien crop circle knockoff. Snaps a photo. Circles back twice over the next hour. Unchanged. Perfectly stable. Then, poof, vanishes. Guy walks that path dozens of times after. Zilch. Never sees it again. Photo bubbles up in discussions this week. And suddenly it's secondary signal. Unexplained message from the woods. Confirmed facts. Single observation. One photo. The unexplained bit? That's wishful thinking. This is textbook environmental dynamics. Short-term micro conditions holding it together briefly. Wind eddy swirling leaves into place. Moisture gradients gluing them down. Subtle bench-shadowed microtopography creating a little leaf trap. Then conditions shift. Breeze picks up. Foot traffic scatters them. Maintenance guy sweeps through. Or seasonal dryness kicks in. Done. Credible alternatives everywhere. Ground contours funneling debris. Vortices pinning it temporarily. Random disturbance. Hell, even a squirrel could have nudged it later. Why drag this low-drama dud into the spotlight? Because designed-looking natural patterns are the #1 culprit in false agency attribution. Your monkey brain screams, intent, when it's just physics farting around. Fuels endless viral mystery content. Every Instagram reel hunting signs. Don't fall for it. Next time you're chasing ghosts, revisit under matching wind conditions. Scope patterns near other benches or structures. Test if it's repeatable geometry from the setup itself. Bet you it is. Nature's got no agenda, just like my ex-boss. Yeah, that leaf pattern bit from before. Nature spits out some symmetry, and boom, everybody's seeing agency. Ghosts in the machine. Patterns fooling us into supernatural leaps. Speaking of which, sliding right into another secondary signal from unexplained.co. Headlines got me chuckling, darkly. Saint Germain, real man, immortal brand. Dropped December 27th, but it's circulating like wildfire this week. So, what happened? Unexplained.co lays out the goods. There's legit 18th century paper trail on this Count of Saint Germain. Charismatic courtier bouncing around Europe, rubbing elbows with kings and philosophers. Memoirs from the era. Correspondence from Casanova himself. Even Voltaire took a jab. Confirmed, the guy's real. A smooth-talking polymath into music, gems, maybe some alchemy sideshows. Mysterious, sure, but flesh and blood. But claimed? Oh boy. Immortal wanderer, ascended master, popping up across centuries like a bad sequel. Elixir of life, conversations with Christ, pure myth extension. Don, put that damn magazine away. I see you waving it like he's gonna autograph it from the astral plane. Not tonight, man. Key here? Those real mentions, diaries, letters, they're the launch pad. Somebody grabs a fragment, slaps on extraordinary BS, and suddenly it's gospel. Credible alternatives? Identity fog. Maybe multiple Saint Germains conflated. Or the guy was a self-mythologizer, puffing his rep. Then, esoteric reinterpretation piles on in the 19th, 20th centuries. Why it matters? This is Area 51 writ long. Authenticated scraps become scaffolding for unauditable towers of crazy. Real docs? Sure. But the supernatural scaffold? Laughable. Unexplained does solid work contrasting it. But watch next. Do they cite specific primaries like the French court records versus later occult fanfic? Contemporaneous versus crystal ball lit. Kinda reflective, huh? How half-truths metastasize. Sets us up nice for chewing on documentation methods without turning facts into faiths. All right, after that Saint Germain rabbit hole, where dusty history scraps morph into full-blown ghost stories and immortal hustles, let's get real practical. You spot something weird, a secrecy tale, cold case flicker, or your own damn anomaly staring back. How do you log it without turning into a tinfoil lunatic? I've been chasing shadows long enough to know evidence hygiene ain't optional. It's your lifeline. Start with a 3-column log, right now. Pen, phone notes, whatever. Column 1, what actually happened. Cold facts only, no spin. Column 2, what you think it means. That's your theory dump. Column 3, what you felt in your body. Gut twists, chills, heart pounding. Keeps the bias from bleeding everywhere. Oh, God, my back's killing me from slouching over these logs at 3 a.m. Time it proper. Screenshot your device clock. Jot the time zone. And note time since event while it's fresh. Memories warp fast, like cheap whiskey. 5 minutes, 20, pin it down. Preserve the artifacts. No screwing around. Export that dash cam clip immediately. Don't trust auto-delete. Save voicemails raw. Photos? Keep originals with metadata intact. No edits. No shares till backed up triple. Witnesses, isolate them. Each one writes their account solo before you huddle up. Compare after. Stops the groupthink contagion, where one guy's orb becomes everyone's shadow people. Test the boring crap first, always. Lighting tricks, faulty wiring, half-asleep brain, stress fog, booze or pills, wonky weather, phone glitches or app bullshit. Rule out the mundane grind before you escalate to Mothman. Define your falsifiers up front. What's one thing that'd slam it mundane for you? Clear lens flare, say, and one that screams escalate, repeat under lab conditions. Write it. Saves you from endless loops. And the safety rule, non-negotiable. Dizziness, paralysis, hardcore hallucinations. Health first, mystery second. Hit the doc, not the forum. I've ignored that too many nights. Don't be me. This protocol works across the board. Secrecy ops, unsolveds, personal freaks. Keeps you sane when the weird hits. Now that sets up our next cross-check on signals, mimicry patterns, and vanishing records popping up everywhere. Yeah, that documentation protocol we just chewed over. It's your first line of defense, right? But let's cross-check the signals from this week's mess. Mimicry and record loss. The two motifs that keep slapping me in the face, no matter where I look. Not claiming some big bad wolf's pulling strings here. Just saying, they're consistent enough to make a guy like me, stuck in this humming studio till dawn, rub his eyes and wonder. Take mimicry and people first. That phone call where the voice, it's your spouse. Exact tone, inflection, that little laugh you know by heart. Perfect familiarity, slamming into your brain from some unknown origin. Who was that? Lover? Impersonator? Or something playing dress-up with voices? Creeps you out, doesn't it? Then mimicry in media, those glitch reports. File opens fine, but there's this overlay, like reality's wearing a cheap mask. Pixels shifting, content echoing itself wrong. Not a virus, not a hack, just wrongness. And mimicry and identity? Duplicate sightings. Guy in the same jacket, same walk, popping up blocks apart. Your mind locks onto the sameness, clothing, context cues, and boom, it's the same dude. Or is it? Fast as hell, brain says, match confirmed. We're suckers for patterns. Flip to record loss. Real cases like Sara Ebersole's deal. Alleged phone wipe. Reset out of nowhere. Timeline? Gone. Now it's just he said, she said arguments. No proof. Poof. Personal anomalies hit harder. Your screenshot of the shadow figure? Blank. Dashcam catches nothing but static where you swore something flew by. Intensifies the metaphysical spin. Ghosts, portals, whatever sells the story. What's the shared mechanism? Prediction error crashing into missing data. Brain hates the void. Demands a narrative. Story making ain't optional. It's survival wiring. Fill the gap or go nuts. Practical takeaway, since I'm not here to spin yarns. The more your event hinges on it vanished or it mimicked, prioritize capture protocols. Triple check backups. Run disconfirming tests. Don't let the fade out win. Because tomorrow, more silence waiting. Different flavors. Policy voids. Law gaps. Physics shrugging. But that's next. Yeah, that signal cross-check tied up the episode's two big motifs into a neat little bow, or whatever passes for neat around here. But hold on, before we stumble into the outro, let's reflect on the real meat of it all. These institutional voids. Different kinds of silence, but they all crank up the same mythic pressure cooker in our heads. Picture this: silence by policy. Facilities like Area 51, wrapped in classification tape. It's the classic, "we can't tell you" dodge. Government says zip and boom, ambiguity city. Fuels every wild tale from little green men to black budget toys. Then there's silence by provenance. Declassified docs dropping like Montauk Project files, but scrubbed clean. No identifiers, no paper trail you can follow. You can't audit it, they say. Who was involved? Poof, gone. Leaves you chasing shadows in redacted ink. Silence by law? Take Aaron Taylor's saga. Council stonewalling, non-cooperation orders flying. Someone knows the dirt, but their lips are sealed by attorneys and Fifth Amendment games. They won't speak, and it burns. And don't forget silence by physics or time. Romine Olson style. Decomposition eating the body. Water swallowing evidence. Heat turning it to ash. The evidence itself won't talk. Nature's perfect cover-up. Don, Jesus, man, is that a bag of chips or your jaw dislocating? I can hear every damn bite from here. Save the midnight snack for after the show. Where was I? Right. To the public, all four silences hit the same. Unanswered questions stacking like bad debt. That emotional gut punch discomfort gnawing at you. Why'd this happen? Who's hiding what? It breeds the myths, the conspiracies, keeps us hooked. But they ain't identical, folks. Each one's got its own realistic fix. Policy silence? Hammer oversight committees. FOIA the hell out of it. Provenance gaps? Forensics on records. Cross-reference the blanks. Law barriers? Warrants. Deals. Flip the witnesses. Physics voids? DNA tech. Reconstruction grind. ID the bones. That's your structural model. Ties secrecy ecosystems to cold cases. Same pressure, different cracks to pry. What to watch next? Cases that shift silence types. New DNA busts the physics wall. Fresh warrants crack law holds. Unearthed records flip provenance. Those are the ones that actually budge. Keep eyes peeled, 'cause the system's full of them. Those institutional voids. Yeah, they categorize the silence that cranks up the myth pressure, all right. But let's pull back, folks. The big theme this week? Absence of data ain't proof of jack. But damn if it doesn't shape what we believe. Like gravity yanking you into the dark. My back's killing me from leaning into this mic all hour. Look, tie it to the cases we chewed on. Those secrecy myths and cold cases? They both explode where context vanishes and verification's a pipe dream. Mimicry everywhere. Voices faking out. Images twisted. Identities jacked. And record loss? Wipes, degraded tapes, missing clarity. It's the 1-2 punch keeping us guessing. Ethical guardrails time, 'cause this ain't a circus. Real investigations, not entertainment. Don't name drop private suspects. Skip the harassment circus. Stick to verified sources. Actionable bit. Document first. Snap it. Save originals. Interpret second. Hunt disconfirmation before you cement that worldview. Or you're just building castles on fog. Eyes peeled next week. Any provenance upgrades on those Montauk-style docs? Corroborated aviation trace details popping up. Public status on Ebersole or Teteringen cases. Gaps don't fill themselves. Week's over, but the voids? Eternal. Stock up smart if this weirdness has you twitchy. Prep starts now gets families ready without the panic. Curated kits, guides, that academy stuff. Exclusive 15% off with code THEGRIND at prepstartsnow.com/discount/thegrind. I earn a commission if you bite, but hey, confidence beats fear. This is Art Grindstone, signing off. The Grind, unexplained.co. Next Friday, cleaner notes, fewer illusions. Stay skeptical out there.
Secrets in the static that nobody dares. I can see